So we got to talk. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And T-Mobile presenting at the Moffitt-Nathanson conference just ended. So this is fresh, coming to you immediately. So there'll be articles that'll come out throughout the day from the likes of Light Reading, Fierce Wireless, and whoever else. So, man, this is crazy. So for the longest time, and I know some of you are still, complaining about this in the comment section. I see it every day. But now, I can't believe I'm saying this, but now, after today, and what they're now really publicly saying over and over again, this is not on a hidden blog. This is not tucked away somewhere on page 90 in section 6. They are openly saying this to investors, the board members, and everyone else. I have to now objectively really look at T-Mobile in the rural environment. I know for many, many years we've been saying that they're behind Verizon, which they still are, behind AT&T, which they still are. But the numbers, and I know we need more consecutive quarters, but the numbers are starting to say otherwise. And here's why. So this will probably be a longer video. I got a lot to say, a lot of good things, some bad, but a lot of good. So make sure you grab your coffee, water, popcorn, snack, whatever, and let's get right into it. So T-Mobile confidently still believes that they can grow share in the top 100 markets, but they definitely understand and know that that market is saturated. So although they now have opportunity and the right to win, as they call it, with a better 5G network, even they know it's a more competitive environment for them to be able to say, okay, we're going to have this amount of upside by 2025. So we know, or for those of you who have been on the channel for a while now, and I've said this in plenty of videos, the upside is in small town, rural America. And of course, there's fixed wireless access. We'll get into that too. And then, of course, there's business as well. Those are the three main sectors that they are guiding upside in, where they've never really had any penetration or competition, or were competitive, I should say. So T-Mobile, outside of the top 100 markets, they're breaking everything down in these sub-markets. Small town, rural. It's about 775 markets that they have classified as small town, rural markets. So here's what's interesting. So they say, as of today, they have the right to win competitively in about 25 to 30% of those submarkets, those 775 submarkets. To me, that means if you tell me you have the right to win, you're letting me know that your network is extensive, that you're gaining customers, which they are by the numbers, and I'll say those are, I'll tell you guys those numbers here in a bit. That, to me, that means you're gaining those customers and that they're staying on your network. So you're competitively competing for those customers. They're coming onto your network. And that means if you say you have the right to win, that means it's an extensive network portfolio in those 30% that you're mentioning. So as of Q1, they said on the wireless side, in those 30%, they had about, out of the total postpaid numbers that they gained for the quarter, 30% of those activations came from those submarkets, that 30%. 30% of new activations, I'll say it again, came from those smaller rural markets. 30%. It's a pretty big number if you ask me. So they're growing. They're taking share within that 30%. Now, I don't know if it's one specific market. I assume it's probably spread out across several markets, but they're taking share. And around 40% of fixed wireless activations came from, you guessed it, smaller market and rural towns. That's almost half of the fixed wireless ads coming from rural America. Let that sit in. That's why I said the tune is changing. And I have to objectively now look at T-Mobile as a rural competitor. I have to now look at the crowdsourced, the coverage, and I have to look at your guys' comments. For those of you who are new to the channel, who are using fixed wireless access in rural America, who are using wireless in rural America, how is it working for you? I've seen some recently that are commenting. They're saying, oh, it's a better price, it's better customer service. I do notice the trade-off in the network, which T-Mobile says there is no trade-off. But they're saying, I do notice a trade-off. The network is not right toe-to-toe with Verizon, but it's not bad enough to where I am willing to make the compromise. I am seeing those comments 100%. So they like the pricing, they like the value, they like the customer service, so they're willing to make the compromise. So there's that. From a competitive standpoint, in terms of people that are still telling me Verizon and AT&T don't have to get competitive, they got to get competitive. I'm telling you guys right now, if people are willing in these times to make that compromise and T-Mobile is only getting better, Verizon and AT&T, is time to wake up and smell the coffee. Time to wake up and smell that strong coffee. You got to compete, man. You got to start competing. And then next, so those were the numbers for rural America. Now, here's what's interesting. I would say we're right at the midpoint of the year. Around June is about halfway through the year. So they're saying, because Craig asked Mike Katz and Peter Osvaldik, how long or how fast are you able to get to a higher percentage on, that right to win in those sub-markets? They're saying by the end of the year, they're going to be able to compete in close to 60% of those categorized 775 sub-markets. So they're going from 25, 30% to almost 60% where they're going to be able to compete. So just think about what that means for the coverage expansion, of how much they have to expand the coverage by the end of the year extensively to have the right to win without selling up on cancellation, because that's what happens. If you've been in the sales environment, if you tell lies to that person that you're selling to, or you're going to get this deal, you're going to get that, you're going to get that, and they don't get it, they will return that product within the buyer's remorse period. So you're selling up on cancellation. And that's essentially what T-Mobile is doing if they are not competitively expanding the network. If they just add one site and leave it alone, that's not going to work. Because like I said this in the previous videos, everyone talks to everybody and everyone knows everyone in those smaller towns. So they have to extensively build out the network, second to none, as they call it. And I think they know, I think they understand, and they know. That's why I have to look at T-Mobile more objectively now in the rural environment. We can't take one side. If the network is there, I'm going to say it's there. If people are telling me more and more that they're making a compromise, then I'm going to say it's not there yet. They need to build out more. But for them to say publicly now that they're going to be able to compete in almost 60% of those categorized 775 submarkets is insane. And it doesn't really match up with the capital either, because they're not spending enough, I feel. But they are saying that they've been raising the CapEx, which they have been. So far, the last 3 to 4 quarters, they have inched it up by about 100 to 200 million. And I anticipate for them to hit that goal, they're going to have to keep increasing the CapEx for the rest of the year. So in the second quarter, I expect another 100 to 200. Q3, I expect another 100 to 200. And the same to happen in the fourth quarter. That is, I believe, the only way that they get to that goal. Because it's still very expensive to build out in rural. Recently, at the big 5G event, Mike Dano did a video interview, and he was told it costs about $500,000 to build one site in the rural environment. Just let that sit in. Now, I know some of those can be co-located, but if you have to construct a brand new 200-foot boom site, it's going to cost you about $500,000. So that's expensive. That's very expensive. The capital is there to a certain extent, but T-Mobile has to spend more. They got to spend a whole lot more to really get there. And we will see. Maybe they prove us wrong. The numbers are starting to prove me wrong. If they're growing 30 to 40% of their new line activations in the rural markets, that means they're growing the network. People are not going to switch over if there's no network. So there's some kind of distribution there. There's some kind of network, and the marketing is working. They said beforehand, before they started competing heavily in those submarkets, they grew the rural footprint from 13 to 15%, 2% from Analyst Day 2021 to the end of 2021 by 2% purely on national marketing. That's it. They won in that environment purely by marketing. They didn't do nothing else. Like I said in the video this morning, marketing gives T-Mobile the right to win as well. And they did that. National marketing grew it by 2%. And that tells me this segment now is very price sensitive. And T-Mobile is able to win with the lower pricing and the value. 100%. So, I mean, I still got to tune into the Verizon conference. They presented as well, so stay tuned for that. But I'm not saying this is, oh, T-Mobile is winning, put up a trophy, celebrate. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it's about to get a lot more competitive in those markets. And Verizon and AT&T are going to have to pay attention. They're going to have to, they're going to have to compete. And they've never seen that type of competition before in those markets. It's kind of been a back and forth. It's been a ping pong game between the two. You know, hey, AT&T, I'll take 5 of yours. Verizon's like, I'll take 10 of yours. And here comes T-Mobile. You know, I'll take 20 of both of yours. You know, that's the kind of competition that T-Mobile is bringing into these rural environments. So let me know what you think about this. Very interesting. A lot of info. Also, for those of you who stuck around to the end, T-Mobile did say, Peter Osvaldik did say, they are in the middle, like in the peak of moving their sites to 10 gig backhaul. So that's still ramping up too. So that's not all done. A lot, since 100% of their fiber is leased, they have to wait on their third-party provider to boost that backhaul. They call it in. They say, we want to go up to 10 gigs. They already struck the deal. Now it's up to the service provider to get them to that 10 gigs. So I know this was a longer video. I just needed to say that. There'll be articles throughout the day, I'm sure, from everyone. So make sure you stay tuned. Maybe there's something else that I forgot to cover. So like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Follow my social media outlets for more updates and interactions. This is Tyrone with Tech Live, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.